The Cedric Maxwell podcast is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Back with another episode of the Cedric Maxwell podcast. I am Josue Pavone alongside Cedric Maxwell, checking in for North Carolina, getting you all up to speed with the NBA offseason. Look, Celtics Summer League is done, and Max, I'm sure you want to talk about other things as well, right? What's going on across the NBA?
I keep hearing about different players that were with the Celtics, but then it was more about Wemby, what he did and how the Spurs shut him down after 2 games. But it just seems like a real crazy time. The thing about the NBA and the players that are coming to the Celtics and basically what's going to happen. I think a lot of the pulse right now, and being down here in North Carolina, seeing a lot of fans has been asking me about, like, so what do you think? Did we f*** up? Did we do this? What do we need? I don't see the optimism that was the year before. Last year I saw more optimism. This year it seems like it's more wait and see. Let's see what we have. Let's see what Brad comes up with. Has he finished yet? So I just think there's a lot of movable parts and a lot of questions from fans around the country who I've met just down here in North Carolina.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, between the Porzingis trade and what's going to happen after, I mean, we're still waiting, right? There's a couple free agent signings that certainly fulfill what you want to get from your second unit, but everyone's waiting to see if he's going to make another move. And he also commented on it during the Summer League game, saying that there is one more move down the road, but he didn't obviously get into specifics, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that a little bit. Also, Damian Lillard, the latest on that front, the Miami Heat still putting in offers. We'll tell you about the latest in that. But we got to talk about the humongous elephant in the Celtics organization's room, right? That's Jaylen Brown's supermax contract. What has taken so long? I mean, we're almost 3 weeks into July, and there's still no deal now. There was an initial report saying that they were going to come up with a deal or close out the deal in Las Vegas, but that's out the window now. And the latest from Adam Himmelsbach of the Boston Globe is saying that he's got a prior commitment overseas. I'm not exactly sure where, but right now the talks are on pause, and they're going to resume after he gets back.
Wait a minute. You got a prior commitment overseas, and they have a deal here on the table for $300 million.
300 max. 300 million.
What's your commitment?
I don't know, Max. I don't know. What in your opinion, what could possibly delay this any further?
I don't think, I think that Celtic fans right now are kind of, just struck. I don't think there's too much about it. I think it's going to get done. But, when you start talking about $300 million, that's a lot of money for one player. He's going to be the highest paid NBA player, which is, I think when the Celtics first drafted him in his first couple of years, I don't think anybody would have thought that. But due to his hard work, his effort, what he's able to accomplish, he's become one of the elite players in the NBA. And kudos go out to him, and where he's at and the money that he can demand. I just think that when you start talking about these massive contracts, you just dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
Yeah.
And I think that eventually it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I think one thing you're looking at, the Celtics, I think what they want is they don't want that 3rd year buyout. Mm-hmm. Celtics would like him to do a 5-year, completely essentially like a 5-year deal, but no player option in year 3. That's when you can come back and become a free agent. So I think the Celtics are trying to work on that part of it. That's what they would like to have. And the player, do you want the security or do you want the ability to become a free agent in about 3 years?
That's what crossed my mind as well. Like, because if you're Jaylen, you're like, well, how much flexibility am I going to have here in the back end of that deal, right? Am I going to have the option to go out and be a free agent? The no trade clause is not in the picture, but I think if it were, that'd be another talking point, right? I mean, if I'm Jaylen, I'm trying to make sure that I have as much control as I can, even though obviously I'm getting the supermax. I'll be the highest paid player in the NBA, but towards the end of this deal, am I going to have that option to say, you know what, I want to go elsewhere?
I know I'm getting that look that you always say I give you, when it's like that round up sour milk look. What the hell do you want?
That confused, like that's it. That's the look. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because you get $300 million. I mean, I got control of what? I got control of my bank account. I mean, so I understand, and it's a new NBA, but if you're putting out that much money to me, over almost $250 million, who really cares about, what position and what line I can take? So I understand, but at the same time, it's like, damn, dude, come on, just take the money, take the freaking money, okay, take it.
Do you think he finishes that deal? I know it's hard to tell the future that far down, but you think he would finish that deal in Boston?
I don't know. It depends on what the Celtics do.
Yeah,
I think the Celtics would, if they don't win it this coming year, then it would be very much like the Tyler Hero deal. Tyler Hero signed a huge deal with Miami. He played, and then obviously we know he got hurt, was out. But now that he's in the second year of that deal, he can be traded. The first year of that deal, once you sign it, you can't be traded. But the second year of that deal, it becomes a contract that can be moved, and you can start looking at other pieces. So I think the Celtics want to go and look at it both ways. Like, they're protecting themselves. But as Danny Ainge used to say a lot, there's an asset. There's an asset out there that he has, a commodity, which Jaylen could be if, in fact, things don't go as well as they would like for him to go this coming year.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I just don't think the window is as big as people think it is. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But again, like you said, if they don't win it, I mean, that's the thing. Winning helps, right? Winning makes you want to come back and win a second one.
Wait, how old are these guys when we start talking about the window being closed?
Well, you know what I mean, Max? Celtics fans are delusional, Max. They think Tatum and Brown want to be teammates for the rest of their whole career. I'm not sure that's always the case.
Here's what I'll say. Tatum is how old right now? Is he 25 yet? And Brown
just turned.
What's Brown, 26, 27?
26, yeah.
26? So where's the window that people are talking about is closing? I mean, there's an extraordinary guy out there who's still playing for a championship who is damn near 40. His name is LeBron James. And I'm not saying...
Yeah, how long did he stay in Cleveland? You know what I mean? That's another example. But you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like in today's NBA, you don't see teammates play for 10 plus years. Like that doesn't happen anymore.
But he's still competing for a championship. So I'm saying, if you have those kind of guys, then your window to me is open. Is Steph Curry, is his window closed now? Are we saying that? When you start thinking about Steph Curry, is
maybe a couple more cracks at it.
Is he get?
That's my point though, Max, right? How many championships those guys have? It's easier to want to be to stay together when you're winning championships, when you got a dynasty. This team isn't a dynasty. They haven't even won yet, and how many years are we into this with Tatum and Brown? I'm just thinking down the road. I'm trying to put myself in Jaylen's shoes for a second, right? Or at least his mind. And he strikes me as someone that at some point in his career, he's going to want to be that number one. And that's not going to happen here in Boston. It's just not, as long as Tatum's around.
I don't buy that, and because I think great players understand. Great players sometimes understand. I think about my Celtic team. Did Kevin McHale, did he want to be a number one? Or was he good with Larry Bird being number one?
He was good with that.
Was Robert Parrish, did he want to be? So I think, and obviously I know I'm talking about another era and another time, but still I think you still look at players and going, okay, I can live with that. I mean, well, LeBron James went down to Miami, and did D Wade say, hey, this is my team? And, LeBron James always said this is D Wade, still D Wade's team. But we know that LeBron was the engine. I mean, I think that you start looking at teams, could you ever see a scenario where the Joker plays any place else? Can you ever see that scenario? with him leaving Denver? Do you ever envision that? So I think you're right in one way. In one hand, as players' movement is always kind of crazy. You think everybody, is Luka going to be always with Dallas? They'd like to keep him, but I understand what you're saying. Players like
imagine Mark Cuban living that day where Luka's wearing another uniform. Oof.
Players like to explore the option. I think one of the funny things to me about some of the trades right now is hearing what what Jason Tatum said, and he was talking about when he sees Grant Williams again. He mentions that when I see Grant Williams again, I'm gonna bust his ass. And Grant Williams said, "You can't go left."
Yo, Grant's telling all the secrets now. Yo, I love that. I love it.
So there's still a lot of fun. There's still a lot of money out here, but it's still right now. It's still in July.
Yeah.
So the schedule hadn't even come out yet, and we're speculating, but we'll see what kind of movement happens at the very end. Is Portland going to be forced to give up Dame Lillard? And says Scoop Henderson, what's his name? Scoop Jackson what's his name? In
Scoop Henderson, the third overall pick. I think that's what Charlotte fans want to ask you about. They're wondering if they made the wrong choice in that.
Scoop looks like he could be a hell of a player. But
it's a little redundant when you got Ball, right? LaMelo.
I think that's what they were saying. They already hitched their wagon up the Ball. They gave him $270 million or something like that. So I think that they didn't want a lot of the fans down here in Charlotte. A lot of my friends are saying, "Look, we didn't want another small little point guard. We didn't need it." So they were willing to forego that and get the kid who at 6'9" as a two guard. So I think that people were pretty happy about some of the moves, but that doesn't come clear until the end of the day when you start looking at guys who were taken in certain places. So we just talked the other day about somebody who was taken, the guy who was taken before Luka. They keep talking about all the things that happened. You had the NBA. Michael Jordan was the third pick. Hakeem was the first pick. Bowie was the second pick. And then Jordan goes third. Could you know that Portland, if they had to do that again, what the hell?
Oh, man. But the reason behind it is what's crazy. It's they didn't want to. It's redundant with Clyde Drexler. It's like, you could have figured that one out. No.
Well, I guess you could have at the end of the. Clyde was a hell of a player during that time, but I talked to a couple of people who were with them, but with Portland, they were like, take this kid, and we're going to be a dynasty. And sure enough, you didn't take him, and that's why Nike is Nike right now. Could you imagine Michael Jordan being in Portland where Nike was the headquarters? It's already, things that go crazy there, but I can't even imagine Michael in another uniform like that. But then again, we talk about that. Did you ever think Michael Jordan was going to be any other uniform but Chicago Bulls?
That's true. Yeah. He was a wizard. He finished up as a wizard. Yeah. Some people hate that. I didn't hate it because I was for reasons for selfish reasons. I just wanted to be able to say I saw the man play, and I did. I saw him live. Went down to the police center. You saw a version of the man play. That's what you saw. You saw a diluted Michael Jordan. Antoine Walker punched the shot. I remember that. I was like,
yeah, Michael in his prime. You don't think about, Michael in that way in the Wizards. Right. He will always be a Chicago Bull as long as people want to remember different stuff.
Take your first bet at Betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets, up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200. You can spend betting everything from the money line to over-under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/Boston to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/Boston. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball.
I'm more interested in seeing what Wembanyama, is he going to be that kind of dude in San Antonio? What did you think about him after you saw him a little bit in the summer league?
I was impressed. I mean, clearly, people
got to get stronger.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew that before we even saw him play the first time, but there was a clear difference between game 1 and game 2. Maybe game 1 is the jitters. Maybe it was the fact that, he had a lot of open looks from behind the arc. He's got to work on that 3-point shot, but man, the way this dude handles the ball for a guy his size, it's only going to get better. Like, that's unheard of. It's like Porzingis dribbling like that. You know what I mean? Just crossing dudes up, like slashing through the lane. Like, that's a part of his game. I feel like it's obviously going to go a long way. But yeah, he's going to be someone that I think it's not going to be hard for him to score. You know what I mean? Like, I just think the 3-point shot is going to be a big thing. Like, teams are going to bait him to take that shot more often. But that's only going to improve at the NBA level.
Yeah, it's going to improve. But the thing that you saw with him is his ability to defend and block shots around the rim.
Right. I mean,
only way I think you go at him is you got to go directly. You try to avoid him, he's going to block your shot. You go at him, you got an opportunity to hit him with the body because he's a little small. But guys are going to test him immediately to see what he has in store.
Absolutely. No, for sure. And, speaking of Summer League, Brad Stevens hopped on ESPN during their telecast and, of course, asking him about the free agency, moves that he made. And I thought it was interesting that he said, like, look, we're still trying to add him one more piece. He's talking about adding a potential wing. And if you look at the list of players that are available right now in free agency, I see a couple of names that could help you out. But I want to see what you think, Max. What do you think about someone like, this is one of my guys. This isn't the guy that's been reported, but TJ Warren, someone like that. You think he's still got something left to help the Celtics out,
TJ Warren is a scorer who in the bubble turned to be a pretty good player. He's a guy who could help you. I like that. I'm giving you a thumbs up on that first one. What else you got?
Okay. Terrence Ross.
I've always liked Terrence Ross as a scorer. If you can but he's a pure scorer. I wanted him last year because of the ability to give you instant offense. That name is not bad, but where are you going to fit him in with this particular team and how much you have to pay him?
He's streaky, that's the thing. But in terms of paying, we're talking almost pretty much the veteran minimum, right? That's all the Celtics can really afford in their effort to stay below the tax line, unless there's a deal out there for Malcolm Brogdon. That's the only way I see this thing working because Brogdon, he's due for $20 million. So with that on your cap, this will keep them under that second apron if you can get one of these minimum guys and give them that last roster spot, essentially. Another name, Jalen Noel, played out in Minnesota. More of a 4-3 type of guy, but Will Barton, I think, is someone along the line. Will Barton, Terrence Ross, TJ Warren. I mean, those three are kind of like my guys right now. Max, what do you expect here, man? You got some scores that come off the bench and get you.
No, to me, you're digging in the ditch now. You're looking for something that might not be there. I mean, that the first name, TJ Warren, that name kind of gets me. Then Terrence Ross. But then when you start moving some of these other names that I'm not even really familiar with, it's like
this is week 3 of free agency, man. That's the thing, man. But so they could steal one of these guys here, It could help you out.
I mean, you can always fill rosters, Again, I think that what I'm looking for as a replacement is toughness. And like, I think of TJ Warren, I think of him this way. I think of the heads-up battle that he had with Jimmy Butler, where he never backed down.
He likes those moments. I think he will rise to the occasion. I
like that about him. So I mean, I'm just looking. I'm looking for a name after a while. I'm looking for a name. Looking for a body. I'm looking for somebody who has done something like.
There is no I in team, but there is one in Indeed, and that's the hiring platform you need to build yours. When you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. We streamline hiring with powerful tools that can find you match candidates. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed match their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed Data US. One of the things I love about Indeed is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy. Start hiring now with a $75 job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Maxwell. Offer good for a limited time. That's right, you can claim your $70 credit now at Indeed.com/Maxwell. That's Indeed.com/Maxwell. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Teams have improved. There's been those other names out there, but I want to ask you, what do you think what's the one deal that you would say is the biggest and most significant trade? I mean, is it Chris Paul going to the Warriors? Is it Bradley Beal going to the Suns? Is it Porzingis going to Boston? I mean, let me say this. Everybody who's been against the Marcus Smart trade for Porzingis has always said, oh, if he's not healthy. But I don't hear a lot of people talk about if he is healthy, what this team's going to look like. So in your opinion, what do you think this team will look like if all is well, right? If he's available.
If you're telling me that he's going to be available for 70 games this year, 70 plus.
Perfect. Right around there. 68, 70.
I am good. But I'm just looking for all those ancillary pieces. As my broadcast partner, Sean Grandy, would said, all the other pieces that have to come into play. Guys who can block shots, guys who run the floor. You give me those pieces. That's what I'm looking at now. You got your main weapons. I would love to keep Malcolm Brogdon because Malcolm Brogdon was just so solid last year until he got hurt. Malcolm Brogdon was the sixth man of the year. And we know his basketball IQ. So I don't want to particularly lose him for nothing. I hope that Celtics are able to get something, and then they have the $6 million tax exemption, so this can use it. So,
that's right. That's another way they can make a deal. That's true. Yep.
You might be able to make
future draft picks.
Yeah, you can get some pieces. I just don't think I'm looking at the whole thing in Miami. I'm like, how can Miami how can they do that? I don't see how you return. If I'm Portland, I want to return on my investment.
I was going to say
Miami doesn't have enough to give me. I think what I would look at, unless you're looking at a third team, unless you go through some by like Brooklyn. Brooklyn has a pocket load of picks. If you're able to get somehow get Hero to Brooklyn, Brooklyn gives Portland, maybe a player, but then they got some picks to go along with it. And then you're able to get Dame Lillard down the. I think it has to be a three-team deal for it to happen. Very much like it happened with Porzingis and Marcus Smart.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably help their chances. But I also think if you're Portland, I'm going to try to wait this thing out, man. I don't want this to happen. It might be a foregone conclusion, but I'm going to test it out. You know what I mean? Or if another team comes in, the Toronto Raptors, right? They got some pieces, whether it was OG or, Scotty Barnes and a couple of picks. I'm taking that over Tyler Hero and a bunch of people who are, let's say, as Gary Walker would say, players who are either freshman or sophomore in high school right now. I don't want those future draft picks, man. I'm trying to do something now. And that's good to have in my back pocket, but I also want someone like a Scotty Barnes that could implement right away and we can make the playoffs again. You know what I mean? If I'm Portland, man, we've been trying to do this thing. And if Damian wants out, he finally puts his request and that's the only team he wants to go to, I'm not going to just do that. I won't do him that solid. Or if I am going to do it, I'll wait till midseason when I have no other choice.
Well, I think that there's some things to do. Obviously, look at Portland, but Dame Lillard said according to reports, he's only wanting to go to one place. And the question I asked you, which is, and I hadn't talked to you about it, was how do you feel about all these ESPN layoffs?
I'm surprised, man. I'm really surprised. Jalen Rose, just name one. I mean, they're constantly trying to shake up that NBA lineup. But the way they're doing this now, I'm like, man, like what's going on? And I love how I love Stephen A is like, hey man, don't think I'm safe. There's a few. He goes, there's a few other people making more money than me. I'm like, yeah, but I think you're fine, man. I think you may be safe. I think if he got that phone call the way Marcus Smart got the phone call or the conversation that you're safe, I would trust that more than Marcus should have, I guess, when they said that he was safe a week before being traded to Memphis.
I mean, those pieces and some of the moves that they made at ESPN, like Van Gundy, I was surprised to see that Van Gundy was, because he was solid with Mark Jackson. I liked him.
Good, man.
And what I loved about him was his brutal honesty, about guys flopping. And now the NBA is as a rule that they're going to come in. If you flop, you get a technical.
Yeah.
And that's going to hurt your team. So, LeBron James might have been the king of that, as if he got hit, didn't get hit, throws.
Oh, the delayed reaction, that drove me crazy, man. Like you see an instant replay, and like 3 seconds later, he's like, he does some crazy flop. Like, come on, man. Like, how do y'all miss that? The referee has to watch that, like, yeah, I'm all for it. I also like the other new rule, which is if you win the challenge, the coach challenge, you get a second one. I like that. I think that's the way it should have been from the beginning. Like, you should be honored. I mean, you should be rewarded for getting it right, for calling them out on it and getting it right. Not like that's your only one. So then you have to hope that something down the road doesn't, later in the game, you're not putting that same scenario. So that's good. I like that.
I like it, and I don't like it in the fact that
more replays.
It lengthens the game and slows it up a little bit more. Whereas fans really got a kick out of that thing when let's go.
The green light special.
Yeah, they love that. So I mean, you're giving them something extra, but how much more time are you giving? I think they look at stuff already. Flagrant fouls or all this stuff that they go to. Let's see, and players will say they got hit, and they have to go. So I don't know. I mean, I like it, but at the same time, I think it, unnecessarily lengthens the game.
Yeah, no, it does. It kills the momentum, man. Sometimes they take like 7, 10, 12 minutes to figure this thing out. I'm like, man, if I was playing, especially in the fourth quarter, I'm like, man, you're helping somebody. It's not always going to be us. It's not going to be like, maybe we don't need a breather. Maybe that's the last thing we need. We're on a 10-2 run, trying to close this thing out, trying to make a comeback, and all of a sudden everything comes to a stop, and the other team regains momentum, or vice versa. Like, yeah, I think they need to limit that time.
Yeah, I want to backtrack just a little bit and get back to what we were talking about, guys being laid off at ESPN. Does Shannon Sharpe, does that name ring a bell that he could be one of those guys that you would bring in that shake everything up at ESPN as one of these shows? Because obviously he's opinionated as hell. You're not going to have a way, wearing those goat hats and all that. And now what happens, the bigger thing, like what happens to his running partner? Or what happens to him now? Who's going to
they're looking for his replacement right now.
Yeah, that's like crazy. Who is going to be as strong? Who do you know that can be as strong as Shannon Sharpe? I mean, that was an interesting matchup because Shannon Sharpe, Skip Bayless normally ran through everybody else, but Shannon Sharpe was an equal, and a lot of times he was a superior. And the worst thing about partnerships is the fact that somebody thinks that they can't be replaced, or somebody gets on top of somebody else. And it seemed like that's what happened. First they were, it's almost like Shannon Sharpe was being taught. And then he started teaching Skip Bayless. And then he started being the teacher. And Skip Bayless kind of looked like the student. And that seemed like that tipped the boat over. But Shannon Sharpe is one of those names I'm looking that is going to come in and go someplace else. I hear about Charles Barkley, possibly going right now to ESPN. Going to CNN with Gail King. It's just a lot of movable parts when I think about some of the guys who are out there and what they could do.
You know, I would love to see that. If they got Sharp, if Sharp goes to ESPN, I never even thought about that. You know, he was so like grateful and thankful for everything that happened with, you know, Fox, and he gave his flowers to his co-host. You know, he's like, man, you opened this door for me. Like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And I think there's a lot of what you just said in that compliment, in that, you know, he sharpened his skill set and he learned a lot just from going back and forth with this guy every single day. So, you know, it wouldn't shock me. That would be
how would you like this one if you had Shannon Sharp and Charles Barkley on the same show?
Oh man, that's gonna be hilarious, man. That's gonna be, especially if you throw a topic that they strongly disagree on. Oh, man, that'd be great. Especially Charles lately. I feel like last season, Charles, like, he kind of just like, he went a little bit more uncensored, you know. And I don't mean in the sense of like he was being inappropriate, but he was just saying whatever was on his mind. He's usually like that, but like he was witty, you know. I just feel like he was cracking me up more than usual this past season.
So, well, guys, you know, we want to say, you know, thank you very much for coming along with us on this road.
Yes, sir.
You know, mash that like button, subscribe, and we only get stronger. You know,
that's right.
One of my favorite books behind you, you know, the Tales from the Celtics with Cedric, Maxwell, Ray Allen. So, you know, we are so thankful for you guys joining us, and we understand it's a slow time right now, but we got some surprises for you this summer.
Oh yeah,
the one I'm going to give you a little surprise. You know, I might have a cooking show. We might do a segment with Cedric Maxwell. Cooking with
Max, and I haven't had your food in years, man. When we first started this thing and you used to chef up before the episodes, man.
So we might have a couple of episodes. I might be able to get a couple of, and this thing I call Cooking with the Pros. So guys, stay tuned. And again, thank you very much for hanging out with us today here in North Carolina and Josue in Boston.